Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live broadcast here. Great to be on here with you guys. My name is meteorologist Joseph Pisani. Thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's live broadcast covering this winter storm here that we're seeing develop, as you saw there just on the radar. We are already starting to see the snow fall, and it is going to continue to pick up as this low pressure system will be moving off the southeast coast tonight and over the open waters of the Atlantic by early tomorrow morning, and we will see this become what we call a bomb cyclone, where the pressure is going to very quickly drop and intensify. Annette, thanks so much for joining us on the live stream. Great to have you here with us tonight. So let's kind of take a live look at what we have going on, and then we'll kind of break down the latest numbers, the latest watches and warnings, and what we can be expecting as we go through the night and throughout the day tomorrow. And a quick reminder for all you guys, we will be live tomorrow out on the road storm chasing. So download this app here that you're seeing here on your screen. This is the WeatherWise app. You can also view it on a mobile device by going to weatherwise.app. When we're live here, there will be a flashing icon similar to what you see here, but it'll actually be a green icon showing that we're live, and you'll be able to click on that to view the storm chasers. You can just come here to storm chasers, make sure that the storm chasers are toggled on, and I'm sure it won't be just myself. There will probably be a couple other chasers. I'm sure that'll be out here as well with us. So we'll be live here throughout the day tomorrow across Georgia, maybe even getting over into South Carolina throughout the day. But that is obviously the plan. We'll probably hit the road fairly early in the morning. Probably plan on being live around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. So definitely make sure you join us for that tomorrow because it is going to be quite a day. A lot has changed even since last night. The biggest change is that we continue to see a further shift west. We obviously now have our low pressure center, so we can basically see here it is pretty much right over the southeast side of Atlanta. So as this continues to track across the state overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow and move offshore, we're going to see this snow here that we're already starting to see kind of develop here across portions of Virginia into Kentucky, northeastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. This is really going to be filling in and ramping up as we go through the day tomorrow. Really, we're expecting this snowfall across Georgia really as early as 4 a.m. We're already starting to see a little bit of it there in northwest Georgia, but by 4 a.m., pretty much all of North Georgia should be in it, and then it should be wrapping up around 4 p.m. So let's show you this here. We do have new updates. These winter storm warnings that I'm about to show you, they are already in effect here for much of the region here. So let me jump over to this screen here. I'll show you this. So here is the hazards map. So all these areas here that you see in pink, this is our winter storm warning, and then surrounding it, we have in this purple shading up here, these are our winter weather advisories, where we could see up to 2 inches of snow. Winter storm warnings, we could, in some of these places, be seeing more than 6 inches of snow, especially across parts of the Carolinas and North Carolina. That is definitely not out of the question. Good evening, Ms. Davis. Great to have you on here. So, and if you were on my Facebook page earlier this afternoon, you may have seen me posting about the potential for some heavier banding of snow in some areas, especially as we go into tomorrow afternoon across parts of Georgia. So we'll be taking a look at that tonight as well, seeing what some of the latest model trends for that over the next 12 hours is looking like. So again, these winter storm warnings go all the way through Sunday afternoon, at 1 p.m. So they're in effect. They went into effect at 7 p.m. tonight, and they will continue through 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Interesting as well, not only do we have the winter storm warnings, but we also have extreme cold warnings. Even down here in Florida, this dark shading that you see across pretty much all of Florida almost, these are extreme cold warnings that are in effect for what we're expecting from Saturday night into Sunday morning. There's even the potential, believe it or not, that we could see some snow flurries as far south as Tampa, Florida, and then even over down toward Daytona, Florida, as this thing completely bottoms out and strengthens here over the next, really over the next 6 to 12 hours. So again, here's our low pressure center right here, pretty much sitting just south of Atlanta. This is going to end up sliding off to the south and east. And this is really crucial over the next day, is seeing what kind of path does it take. Does it kind of come here? You know, does it go a little bit further south? Or do we see a more northern path? We are expecting it to pretty much kind of track south-southeast. But the nice thing is that with it developing already so far west, initially there were some computer models that had it developing over here, some that even had it developing in this area. But it's definitely developed further to the west, which is putting much of North Georgia pretty much in the bullseye for some pretty heavy and significant snow tomorrow. So those snowfall total forecasts definitely coming up as we go through the day tomorrow. I mean, some areas, especially in eastern Georgia, would not be surprised for them to see 6 inches of this nice fluffy snow. So let's kind of take a look at what we're expecting here. Again, for the next, we'll say 12 hours or so. Wow, we have a shelter-in-place warning already up here. This is for the outer banks here of the North Carolina. They've actually issued this shelter-in-place warning right here. This is where. Let me pull this back up because this is pretty significant. Let's pull this up. I don't know if that's it. It's probably, yeah, for the coast there. Here it is. Yeah. So, state of emergency, shelter in place warning there, Outer Banks of North Carolina. This was issued earlier this afternoon. I didn't even see that. So that's, again, this is going to be a very serious situation for the coastline, as you can see here, of Alabama. Not Alabama, excuse me. Man, I'm tired. For the coast of North Carolina. And then we're here, again, all of South Carolina, pretty much all of the rest of North Carolina. We are under these winter storm warnings. And again, we've updated some of these snowfall totals, especially for eastern Georgia, now expecting between 3 to 5 inches of snow with locally higher amounts possible. Again, you can see this does include Athens, Gainesville, Greensboro, Lawrenceville, Milledgeville, Monroe, all of those areas. We're expecting 3 to 5 inches now of snow. And then further off to the west, once you get into the Atlanta area, that's going to be up to 2 inches there for the western suburbs of Atlanta, so the western portions. So that would be like Fulton County, DeKalb County, Henry County. But once you get to Gwinnett County and east, that's where it could be 3 to 5 inches, which kind of lines up with what we were looking at earlier today in some of these computer models. So definitely a lot for us to see. And speaking of the models, let's take a look here. I'm going to turn off the warnings here for us. And we'll kind of play this out here as we go through really the next 12 to 18 hours, what this is going to look like. So I'm going to fast forward this here. And let's load this up here. I may have to turn the storm chaser mode off. Give me just a second here. So again here, as you can see here, this is our outlooks here for this upcoming winter storm. So it's going to affect a pretty large area there across much of northern Georgia, eastern Georgia, Carolinas, even already going on here across parts of eastern Tennessee. We're already seeing the snow falling this evening, and that'll continue here throughout the evening tonight and then into the morning tomorrow. And this is a live look at what we're looking at here. So we can see from Chattanooga, kind of northeast, right up the I-75 corridor, even up here toward Bristol, Johnson City already getting in on some of that heavier snow. And a lot of these places could easily pick up to 2 inches, even down here into just outside of Beckley, Virginia. Starting to see a little bit of snow form here around the north of Raleigh over toward Henderson, North Carolina. And this is going to really continue over the next 6 hours or so. It'll taper off pretty quickly in the morning up in these areas as this whole storm system dives off to the southeast and gets over the Atlantic. And you can already see some of the moisture here over the Atlantic from our system. And basically, we're going to have all this moisture that's going to wrap around this upper level low. And we are going to have some pretty heavy snowfall with those high snowfall ratios that we were talking about last night, where we could have potentially 15-1 or in some places possibly even up to 20-1 snowfall ratios, meaning that for every inch of rainfall that falls, you could get up to 15 or 20 inches if an inch of liquid precipitation fell in your area from this storm. Now, we're not expecting anywhere to get quite that high, but we could, again, like I said, in some parts of North Carolina, we really could possibly see some of these totals easily get up in the 6 to 10 inch range. So let's kind of take a look at some of our latest model data. That is, again, we are now getting this hourly. So this is really, really helpful for us now that we're within less than 12 hours from all of this happening here. So good evening, Candace. Thanks for hopping on the live stream there, Deutsch Mickey. So here we go. So we can see we are comfortable sitting right here in Atlanta, but up in Chattanooga. And this is 7 p.m. So yeah, this is about an hour old. So there's 8 p.m. Here we go. So Chattanooga, it's already starting to snow up there. Temperature is going to drop. Here in Atlanta, we'll probably get below freezing right around 2 to 3 a.m. Hey, keeping up with Kes. Thanks for joining tonight. So pretty much overnight tonight, early morning, we will pretty much get below freezing. Everywhere in North Georgia will be below freezing by 5 a.m., and then those temperatures, believe it or not, as we go throughout the day, we're still getting this new run. So we'll definitely keep checking back. But as we go through the day tomorrow, those temperatures, believe it or not, are just going to continue to get colder and colder. So as we go through the afternoon, it is going to really see that temperature drop. And not only that, but the reason we also have not only the winter storm warning, but we also have that extreme cold warning, which is going to be in effect. Because look at these wind chills as we go throughout the day. By 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, we could have wind chills of about 10 degrees in and around the Atlanta metro area, 10 degrees around Greenville, single digits up near Charlotte. So these wind chills are really going to be cranking, really getting cold very quickly tomorrow morning. And this is what's going to make tomorrow into Sunday so dangerous, is not only do we have the snow, but we also have these extremely abnormally cold temperatures that are going to be coming in across much of the southeast as well. And it's not just Southeast. We're talking all the way down to Florida. Could be seeing some of these very, very cold temperatures that we're expecting. All right, so here we go. Let's dive into our timing of snowfall, because that's what we all are really eager to see. How early could we start seeing the snowfall? So this is midnight, 1 a.m. So again, up here in the mountains, probably going to start seeing the snow coming in around then. And then here's 4 a.m., 5 a.m., so maybe up here toward Ellijay and Canton and those areas around 5, 6 a.m. And then by 7 a.m., especially across into Greenville, over toward Charlotte by 7 a.m. And then that 8 to 9 a.m. time frame is when we're looking the snow to start coming in around between Noonan, Atlanta, over toward Athens. All of those areas will probably start between 8 and 9 a.m. 80 degrees out there in the desert Southwest. Man, we would take it in a heartbeat, but it's not going to get to 80 degrees here for quite some time for sure here in the Southeast. And then pretty much from 10 a.m. you can see that snow through continues as the storm system will be developing offshore. By noon, we'll start seeing that low pressure center develop offshore. The snow continuing. And this is one of those heavy bands of snow that I was talking about earlier that we could see into the afternoon around 1 o'clock. You can kind of see this heavy band of snow. It could be influenced potentially by Lake Lanier, which is kind of up here just in Hall County there, just at the end of 985, if you're familiar with the area. So, and again, we're still getting this data coming in. So we got through 1 o'clock right now, but you can see all of pretty much from Columbia up through Greenville, it's snowing, still snowing here in Atlanta. It'll stop snowing, as you can see, probably around noon or 1 o'clock across northwest Georgia as the storm system dives south. But here across eastern Georgia, it'll continue for another couple of hours across pretty much from that whole I-20 corridor up through the northeast Georgia mountains, pretty much the northern half of South Carolina and the western half of North Carolina, and some still scattered snow as it's developing throughout the day. And then 2 o'clock again, this is where we could see some heavy snow potential. Again, it's really going to depend on where some of this convergent zone banding, lake effect banding potentially sets up. On the eastern side of Atlanta is what it's looked like, even up into the mountains. We could see some of this. A little bit of a potential out here in Augusta, maybe for a little bit of sleet to mix in at first. And then we could see here down along the coast, there's the potential where we could start as maybe some rain showers in and around the Charleston area. And then we'll see the snow. It'll change over to snow pretty quick. But I do think the early afternoon between 1 and 3 p.m. is when we're going to see some of the heaviest snow here on the east side of Atlanta. And it will start tapering off around 2, 3 o'clock in the western suburbs. Still continuing around Macon. So if you're down south, it'll start a little bit later in the morning down there, maybe around 9, 10 a.m., and then really be picking up in the afternoon down across parts of, Macon over toward Milledgeville, and even closing in on Statesboro there tomorrow afternoon is kind of the thinking. Let's take a look at some of our totals. Also, if you're just joining, guys, hop in that live chat. Let us know where you're watching from. You can definitely ask questions as well. I'll be glad to be answering those throughout the broadcast tonight. It'll probably be a little bit longer of a broadcast because we'll kind of be bouncing back between what's going on right now, as well as keeping an eye on what we're expecting as we go through the day tomorrow. So here is some of the latest snowfall totals. I believe this will go through about 3 p.m. Again, we are still getting this data here live as it's coming in here. So again, there is 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. start seeing some of this accumulation here. 9 a.m., we're at about 1/10 of an inch. And then by 10 a.m., we're already over 1/2 an inch there in Atlanta. 11 a.m., we're at about 1 inch. And by 1 o'clock, we're already there at 2 inches. And then by 4 p.m., so this gets us through 4 p.m., still getting to, and you can see the difference up here in Greenville, over 5 inches. Some of these places between Greenville and Charlotte already maybe 6 to 7 inches up in those areas. Up in the mountains of North Georgia, could easily see 6+ inches of snow up there as well. And then down here toward Augusta, and there's this strip of snow here. Again, this where we could see that banding set up, where we could see some higher snowfall totals in some of these heavy bands that set up, especially tomorrow afternoon, I'd say between 1 to 3 p.m., as we get that heating of the day to occur and that convergence. We get that evaporation of moisture off of Lake Lanier. The winds are going to be blowing from the north, so from north to south. So that could even have a micro scale type of impact on some of these snowfall totals, especially across portions of the eastern metro, I think, as we go through the afternoon tomorrow, where we could potentially see a pretty quick burst of snow for some areas in just a couple of hours. So definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on for sure. Let's kind of take a look back live here, see how our system's developing. Well, the rest of that data keeps coming in, then we'll kind of go back once we have more data. So we can already see, temperatures in the 20s up here in much of Tennessee, from Nashville all the way east. We're talking temperatures 27, 25, even the low 20s up here in northeast Tennessee already going on right now. So we definitely have some of this snow already starting to come in. Let's take a look at some of these traffic cameras out here up in northeast Tennessee. So this here is Interstate 81 that we're looking at here in Tennessee. So definitely seeing that snow coming down there. Roads, though, staying pretty clear. So these roads obviously have been treated up here in northeast Tennessee. So it seems like they're able to move. And again, we're not expecting anything significant up here in this part of Tennessee, maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow. And it looks like a good bit of that has already come down and is still coming down. Down here closer to the Sevierville, Pigeon Forge area, still seeing some snow coming down again. This is Interstate 40 there just west of Knoxville, Tennessee. So seeing the traffic moving along pretty good here in eastern Tennessee. Again, the roads are wet. They're definitely wet, so that is going to be a concern overnight, is the potential for maybe some black ice to develop on the road. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that overnight. And then let's take a look down here at Chattanooga, because they, I think, have started seeing a little bit of snow in some of these areas here. I-75 there. Yeah, it looks pretty clear. Might be flurrying a little bit down there in and around the Chattanooga area. Maybe getting ready to start seeing a little bit of precipitation there, but definitely things are flowing pretty good around that area. But here's our low that we were talking about earlier. You can see, again, just south of Atlanta. This is going to be pulling in all this Atlantic moisture pretty much off of Virginia Beach in these areas. We'll see a lot of that moisture start to pile in here as we go overnight tonight, and then especially into the day tomorrow. All right, we're still getting more data in on our newest high-resolution models. So let's kind of come back here, kind of pick up where we left off at 5 p.m. So as we go into the evening, again, by 5 o'clock, most of the snow should be moving out of the Atlanta and Athens region, so we really won't see much of an increase in totals after 5, maybe a little bit there in Athens, so 5 to 7 sometime in there. And that's when we'll start seeing the snow totals continuing to increase down in along the coast, which is going to be crazy again, seeing, snow down at the beach, Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, all of these areas could see, anywhere, especially, north, could see anywhere maybe 3 to 5 inches in some of these places where some of that heaviest snowfall sets up. So definitely quite a big snowstorm here at the end of January. Obviously, we just are finished dealing with the ice storm, but this is going to be all snow, which is good news. Jeff asking, how many inches of snow for Athens, Georgia? We're looking anywhere, I'd say, for Athens, possibly in the 4 to 6 inch range. 4 inches definitely seems reasonable, but there could be a few pockets in some areas where we get up to 5, maybe even 6 inches in some spots, depending on exactly where you live in some of these heavier snow bands. So, but right now, again, for much of East Atlanta, the winter storm warning is actually calling for 3 to 5 inches with locally higher amounts possible. So again, that could be, and again, with the ratios, we could see, one neighborhood literally have like 2 inches of snow, and then just a few miles down the road, it could be 6 inches of snow, right? So these storm total snowfall, and this is going to be important for us tomorrow to get this data from people, is letting us know how much snow is falling in your location. So what you can do for me tomorrow, if you are going to be affected by this would be great and super helpful. If you have like a ruler, right, like a yardstick or even just a ruler, and can put it up on like a piece of plywood or something, solid, and be able to take those snowfall measurements. Ideally, you want whatever you're going to be measuring snow from away from the house, right? Away from where any drifting could occur. That's going to be another big thing with this storm system, is because it's going to be so windy, there will be some drifting of snow. So snow could kind of be blowing around a little bit and pile up in some areas. So ideally, you want to have your snowboard, that's kind of what I'm going to call it, set out somewhere that it's not under trees, it's away from buildings, at least ideally 10 feet away from any sort of structure or anything like that, with as clear view of the sky overhead as possible. And then you can, take your ruler out there, every couple hours or whatever, and get a measurement. And write down, put it in a little logbook, put it in a note on your phone, say, 11 a.m., we had, 1.25 inch, by 1 p.m. we were up to, 3 inches, and you'll be able to kind of track it over time. And then those pictures, send them, tag us in them, post them, and tag Extreme Weather Videos at Extreme Weather Videos on Facebook. You can tag our Facebook page, and we'll be able to see those. Would love to be able to share those out over to our page. So definitely send them to us on DM, tag us in it. On Instagram, we're on Instagram at EWV Live. You can also use that hashtag EWV Live. That's our hashtag. And we can kind of search for that and definitely be able to share some of those out on Sunday as we go through the day. But this is going to be an all-day Saturday event where the snow is going to be falling, again, starting at probably 5 to 6 a.m. and then lasting through about 4 or 5 p.m. Southeast Georgia, probably through about 8 or 9 o'clock. So the further southeast you are, the later it'll start and the later it will end. But for the Atlanta metro area, we're really looking in that, 5, 6 a.m. potential early, starting to see some of those flurries, and then lasting through about 5 p.m. So excellent questions there. Judy saying, on Snow Watch, they're in Lilburn. Yes, we are definitely going to be on Snow Watch out here in eastern Georgia for sure. And that area there, again, I'm thinking 3 inches is pretty reasonable, 2 to 3 inches for the Stone Mountain, Lilburn area. And then again, those totals could continue to increase the further out east that you go. But it is going to be widely varied. I can't stress that enough with this event. So these snowfall totals definitely could vary pretty widely from east to west, wherever we have any sort of heavier banding set up. Now, the question you guys may wonder is, okay, we had an ice storm last week. What's the difference between what we had last week and what we're about to have tomorrow? Well, one of the major differences between what we had last week and what we're going to have tomorrow is our temperatures, right? Last week we were sitting right at around, most of the day we were at 36, 37 degrees, and we got down pretty much right to that freezing point. And then once we got down to that freezing point, that's when the rain came down, but it froze to the surfaces. Well, tomorrow is going to be very different because, as you can see up here in Tennessee, we're going to be in the 20s. We're going to actually have our highest temperature around midnight. And then from midnight on, those temperatures are just going to drop. So that is going to be the big difference, is there is no warm pocket of air, 5 to 10,000 feet above us like we saw with the last storm. 5 to 10,000 feet above us, it's the same and or colder than what we were seeing with that warm pocket of air. I'll kind of show you an example here. All right, let's come. All right, so here is an example. On the left-hand side there, we've got this blue line here that's 0 degree line, kind of where my mouse is down here. Basically, we're going to be at 16 degrees, and our dew point temperature is going to be at 7 degrees, and it just gets colder the higher up in the atmosphere that we go. So this is going to be 100% very light, very fluffy snow that we're going to see with this event. There's not going to be any sort of freezing rain that we're going to have falling from the sky. Now, I will say that we could still, we're definitely going to have travel impacts. This is going to have, I think this is honestly going to have more travel impacts in some places, especially across Metro Atlanta, than last weekend's ice storm did, because last weekend's ice storm, Atlanta area got anywhere from 1/10 up to about 1/4 of an inch of ice. This here, again, if we're having, 2 to 4 inches of snow, it is going to stick to the roads pretty much as soon as it comes down and starts falling there on the roads. So that is going to be a major difference between the last storm and this storm. Is if you are out and about, like you're out at a store, you're shopping on Saturday morning, and that snow starts coming down, it's going to come in quick and it is going to stick to the roads. And if those roads are untreated and cars start rolling over that snow and compressing it and compacting it, that's where that snow can still turn into a layer of ice. It is possible, right? Because of how cold it is. So that's definitely going to be something that we'll have to watch. I don't think it will happen everywhere. I think the main roads, I already know Georgia DOT is doing a great job tonight. They've been out there treating the roads since this afternoon. So, I mean, they've got I think they said they're planning on 36,000 highway lane miles worth of treatment that they're supposed to be doing here pretty much over the next 24 hours. So kudos to GDOT on getting out there ahead of this and starting to treat all these roads with the brine and stuff like that. And then obviously the other thing is too, any roads where we do have that accumulation, with it being all snow, we can plow it. With ice, there's not really, you can't really plow ice. It'll break up some of it, but you're not going to get all of it. With the snow, they will be able to get out there and plow it pretty easily. So that is going to be another big difference between what we had last weekend and then what we're having this weekend. The crazy thing is with this storm, some places in Georgia, this is their third straight weekend with a winter event. Because 3 weekends ago, you have to remember, we had that snow that was south of Atlanta, that was pretty much the Florida Panhandle up through southern Georgia, Macon, even up into the southern suburbs of Atlanta, Covington, over toward Augusta and those areas. So that was weekend one. Then last weekend, we had the ice storm. And then this weekend, we're having another snowstorm. So I've got a friend at work that, he's had impacts at his house literally 3 straight weekends in a row. I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah, there was that little snowstorm that we had 3 weekends ago. So this one I do believe, though, will be of the 3, it'll be the most impactful, I think, especially for the Atlanta metro area. I think it will be the most impactful. We could, again, see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches across many areas, and then out east across eastern Georgia, we could be seeing 4 to 6 inches in a good place. Even up in the mountains could get really 6 to 8. Some of the highest elevations could get maybe 8 or 9. I wouldn't be surprised with some of these snowfall totals for sure. All right, let's continue here. We're through 36 hours, so we pretty much have everything for this event. I want to kind of see how this plays out. Yeah, look at some of these snowfall totals. I mean, we're talking Myrtle Beach over here coming in near almost 9 inches. Florence, South Carolina, that could be a pretty hard hit area there. Possibly up to 10 inches. Here's what the HRRR is showing us. That would just be insane. A foot of snow at Myrtle Beach there by Sunday morning. And then here along the North Carolina coast down toward Wilmington, North Carolina, those areas, maybe 10 to 12 inches of snow possibly. 9 to 10 inches here around Charlotte, North Carolina. So again, this is going to be a really big event for much of the Southeast. This isn't just a Georgia event. This is really a full-blown Southeast event. Here's the wider view of those snowfall totals. So you can see here, I mean, we're talking parts of Eastern Carolina could get possibly over a foot of snow. And then here in Georgia, again, anywhere 2 to 4 inches, very reasonable. Some places could have more than 6. Obviously, the mountains, the Smokies, someplace in the Smokies possibly getting over a foot of snow as well up there. So it is definitely going to be a very, very impactful event for sure. And it's already ongoing. Here's again, if you're just joining us, we already are starting to see the snow coming in here across parts of eastern Tennessee. Eastern Tennessee, even getting here toward Chattanooga, northwest Georgia, over toward Asheville. You're already starting to get on the snow. Obviously, the Smokies are getting plenty of snow right now. So definitely something we will be keeping an eye on, even up here into southeast Virginia, around Marion, Lebanon, Bristol, Tennessee. And then here across eastern Kentucky, even over here toward Pikeville in these areas, already getting in on snow this evening. Southeast side of Nashville over toward Murfreesboro, seeing a little bit of snow coming in there. And this is kind of a new exciting feature too here with WeatherWise, adding in some of these traffic cameras from different states. They haven't gotten all of them, so I'm hoping they'll continue to expand. But they're definitely starting to add that to their feature list. So I'm definitely excited about that. Folks, if you're just joining the live stream, can you go ahead and do me a favor? Hit that like button for me. and you can share the broadcast on your Facebook timeline, send it in Messenger, text it to someone that needs this information. Anyone you know in Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, even parts of Northeast Alabama. Definitely not out of the question of seeing, a dusting, maybe even up to an inch in some parts of Northeast Alabama overnight tonight into the morning. So, I mean, it's a pretty big storm. The good news with this storm that we are seeing, we were, with it coming out here in the Gulf Stream and then bombing out, we were basically concerned with seeing how close it was going to come to the Northeast. It does look like it's taking a more offshore track across the Atlantic, and so impacts will be limited. There's still going to be impacts up here across especially portions of, Long Island into southeast Connecticut and Maryland. They could see, Nantucket and these areas, Plymouth, those areas, could still see some pretty decent snowfall out of this, but we're not going to get the big nor'easter that could have potentially happened if this had taken a more closer to the coastline track. So the Northeast is kind of looking out. So this really is going to be a big story more for what's going on here in the Southeast through the day tomorrow and into Sunday up here into North Carolina, Virginia, down maybe to Southeast Maryland and stuff like that. But then beyond the snow, and everyone's, excited. We're in the South. We're excited. We're finally going to get a nice snow, hopefully, right? Not ice. But the other big story that we cannot forget, guys, is going to be this extended period from basically midnight tonight, once those temperatures drop below freezing, until about noon on Monday in some areas. It will be below freezing. So we're talking 65 to 80 hours for parts of Georgia to be below freezing. And obviously north of that, it is well below freezing up here. I mean, we are in the single digits across much of this area. Some places already below zero. Here in, northern Minnesota, it is just absolutely brutally cold. So definitely something to keep our eye on. Let's take a look again here. Here is our winter weather severity index, right? This is what we call our WSSI, right? Winter storm severity index. So you can see pretty much of the eastern part of Atlanta has now been upgraded to that moderate risk for tomorrow. Parts of Athens here in that major risk. So where you see this red shading, that's where, again, we're expecting potential for more impacts. And then pretty much most of South Carolina into the eastern part of North Carolina, and then even up here toward Virginia Beach. That's where we're going to be seeing the biggest impacts from this as we go into the day tomorrow. And then by day 3, it's moved offshore, it's moving away and pretty much clearing out. So this is definitely something that will continue to develop. And again, we'll be out tomorrow. We'll be running our live stream here on WeatherWise on YouTube. So definitely make sure that if you're new to the channel, you are subscribed so you'll be able to join us live on the chase tomorrow as we traverse, hopefully, across Georgia, maybe here even getting over toward South Carolina, maybe over here toward, the Greenwood area or Columbia possibly. We'll see how far into South Carolina we can get. So I'm kind of excited about that potential there. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated here as we go through the day tomorrow. Again, we'll be starting that live stream probably around between 9 and 10 a.m. So again, make sure you've got those notifications. When you subscribe, make sure you've got that notification turned on there. Let's go back here to our live radar. Yeah, it's really starting to come down there in northeast Tennessee. Knoxville's really getting in on it. Over between Knoxville and Asheville, that whole I-40 corridor right now would not be a great night to be traveling along I-40 tonight. It's gonna, I mean, pretty much by the time we wake up here tomorrow, we will most likely already have snow on the ground. So just be prepared for that, you know. So if you had any plans for the morning tomorrow here in North Georgia, we should have snow on the ground by potentially 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Definitely probably by 10 a.m. I would say there should be some accumulations already happening. Could start falling, you know, around 7 or 8, and then be accumulated, you know, half an inch already on the ground, potentially by 10 a.m. Definitely not out of the question. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes here. If you have a question, definitely drop that in the live chat. I'm going to grab myself a drink real quick, and I'll be right back. But definitely stay with us. We've got a lot more to talk about here on tonight's live stream here. So again, thank you for being with us tonight and joining me for our live stream this evening. I will be right back. All right, guys, I am back. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on our live stream as we continue to track Winter Storm here. Getting ready to move here across into from Tennessee and North Carolina. Going to be moving down here to Georgia. Our low is on the move here already, even since we've just started this live stream. When we started, it was here just south of Atlanta, and now we are already seeing it move down here, now just on the west side of Macon. So this is, again, exactly what we were talking about. This low is definitely shifted west from even where we were just 24 hours ago, where we were thinking it was going to be coming across more eastern Georgia, down towards Savannah. But again, the further west that this low pressure system right here that is now sitting just west of Macon, the longer that this low stays west and kind of drifts off, especially if it comes down here near the Brunswick area overnight tonight. Again, that's going to allow us to see continued increasing snow totals for much of northern Georgia throughout the day tomorrow. So definitely keeping a very close eye as this low basically moving not due south but almost south-southeast. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that as we go through the evening. I think the way it's tracking right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see if it actually makes it all the way down here into the Brunswick, Georgia area. Again, if you're just joining on the live stream here, feel free to hop in that live chat. I am keeping an eye on your guys' questions and chat there. So, but this is definitely something interesting that I'm seeing here, and I think the newest model run will be coming out here shortly. So I'm interested to see if we continue to see a westward drift in some of these snowfall totals this evening, as that low is definitely staying further west than what I was thinking it was going to be doing now with it sitting here over off to the west side of Macon. Good evening, Vanessa. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hope you have had a fantastic Friday, and I also hope you are ready for some snow tomorrow. We should have snow on the ground by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning potentially here in the Atlanta metro area. So definitely an exciting day tomorrow that we're anticipating. But I think after what we had to deal with, the last 2 weekends, obviously 2 weekends ago here in Atlanta, we missed out on the snow completely. It all stayed to our south. We're like, really? South Georgia and Florida Panhandle getting snow? And then last weekend, we had the ice storm, which was no fun at all. So I think third time's the charm, right? Ready to watch it from my window. I'll be watching it from my car window tomorrow, hopefully. So again, like I said earlier, we should be having a live stream tomorrow throughout the day. So you can watch it from your window, have the live stream up with us, joining us virtually out there on the roads, in the towns, across the streets. It should be a fun afternoon tomorrow. So we'll probably try and be out from about 9 in the morning to probably around 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Definitely want to get back home here before dark. And we'll obviously have to see how it impacts how it does impact the roads. And that's another reason, Storm Chase, we do try and go out so we can get those reports, let people know, here's what the situation is. We'll have our emergency kits. We'll have, blankets, food, sand in the car, tow strap, extra batteries, phone chargers, all the things that we need where, if we did get stranded in our car for, 24 hours, we'll also have extra gas with us. We'll probably have 10 gallons of gas that'll be, strapped up to the top of the car. So we'll definitely be well prepared to be out there in these conditions tomorrow, but not going up to the mountains, so don't have to worry about. I've driven in snow through the mountains of eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, those areas. And that's definitely challenging. So driving some of these hills here, I'm definitely more comfortable with that. Yeah, we're definitely going to be out there storm chasing tomorrow. Snowstorm chasing, different kind of chasing than tornado chasing. But definitely still going to be a pretty big event here, I think, for a lot of the Southeast. Even I was mentioning earlier, I don't know if you were on here, but even potentially down in Florida, they could see, snow flurries. They won't really get any sort of accumulation, I don't think. But they could definitely see some snow flurries, maybe even as far south as, Tampa up toward, Daytona Beach, that area. Could potentially see some snow flurries. So it could be a pretty historic day, even down in Florida, as we go through the day tomorrow. So definitely going to be quite the thing that we'll definitely have to be watching for. And our team member Rob, I've already been in communication with him. He actually lives down there just on the east side of Tampa, Florida. So he may, if something like that does happen, make sure you're on our Facebook page, because that's where he would go live. He'll go live on our Facebook page. And definitely be posting some of that stuff down there if they get any sort of snow down there, because that would just be absolutely historic out there for them to get some snow down that far. So we'll definitely just have to wait and see. But again, if you weren't on the live stream earlier, we do have those winter storm warnings that went into effect. They've went into effect tonight at 7 o'clock. So we're already under a winter storm warning here in Atlanta. It goes till 1 p.m. on Sunday. And then we also have cold weather advisories that are in effect as well. Extreme cold watches, cold weather advisories. Some of these will likely be upgraded even to extreme cold warnings tomorrow. Good evening there, Silvana. Thank you for joining us tonight. Great to have you on the live stream. So we've got this winter storm warning and extreme cold warnings. And with this extreme cold warning, we could see some of these wind chills be 5 to 10 degrees below zero across our area. This, again, doesn't go into effect until 7 p.m. tomorrow night is when the extreme cold warning begins, through 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. Will the roads be okay to drive to church on Sunday? Honestly, the back roads I don't think will be. I think some of the main roads will be okay. But if we get as much snow as we're thinking, between 3 to 5 inches for a majority of the area, some areas of 6 inches, those roads, aren't going to get plowed. The one thing that I am keeping an eye on, which could impact road conditions, is with it being as windy as it is, that snow is going to blow around. So, but my personal guess, I don't think Sunday is going to be a good travel day at all. I think Monday, once we get above freezing and this snow is melting, that'll be the best day. Unless you're comfortable driving in snow, I wouldn't plan on being out on Sunday. I wouldn't plan on being out tomorrow afternoon, throughout the day on Sunday into Monday morning. Just because if it was, just an inch or two, a lot of that doesn't really impact the roads. But once you're getting up to, especially if we get, 5 inches, half foot of snow, that's really different than driving on, just a dusting of snow or an inch of snow. Where a lot of it can blow off the road as people are driving and stuff like that. So, from Florida girl, I can't travel in snow. Yeah, so, see, and that's everyone's. It depends on what your risk tolerance is too. Are you comfortable driving in snow? Did you live up north for a while where driving in snow really isn't a big deal and you do it all the time? A lot of people down here have never driven in snow. Or very negative experiences of driving in snow. I will say this, 2014, we all remember Snowmageddon 2014 here in Atlanta. Believe it or not, for Snowmageddon 2014, a lot of areas with that event only received about 2 inches of snow. And so we saw what 2 inches of snow did to the roads. And it was a similar type of situation where it came down really fast and, stuck to the roads quickly and kind of caught everyone off guard, and then it all froze. So this, I'm not saying that this is going to be another 2014, but I do think there will be some areas, especially on the back roads, where those roads do become basically impossible to drive on, especially some of that hilly terrain. It's not going to get plowed as that snow continues to pile up and get cold. That lowest layer can freeze. So again, that is where those travel impacts. I think this is going to be a big travel impact situation for much of eastern Georgia, obviously into the Carolinas. Once you get off of the interstates, I think all the back roads are going to be, pretty tricky to get around in, especially if you're not used to driving in snow. Even still, even being experienced driving in snow, you really have to take it slow. But with the hills, I'll say this just from my experience of driving up in, Kentucky and Ohio, Indiana, those places, in some different snowstorms and stuff like that. You have to keep enough momentum to make sure you actually make it up the hill. That is one thing I will say. And then obviously making sure, if you're out, if you do have to go out, right, whether it's for an emergency or something like that, making sure you've got that emergency kit packed in your car. So it's not a bad idea tonight and or tomorrow morning just to kind of get that in place. So we're talking flashlights, food, water, blankets, phone charger, stuff like that in your car in case for some reason, you have to make a trip to the hospital for something or whatever the situation is, to have that plan in place now so it doesn't catch you off guard should something kind of pop off tomorrow. Looks like we've got an update here to our winter storm down here from Charleston over toward Hilton Head. So let's kind of take a look here, see what we've got here. Winter storm warning remains in effect 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sunday. 2 to 4 inches. A light glaze of ice from freezing rain may also occur. Yeah, and that's what I was looking at earlier. Here along the coast, this is the area where there could be a little bit of ice closer to the coast. So I think that's what that update was for, was adding in that wording saying that there could be some ice down here. But when we take a look at our snow winter storm warning here, again, this is what they're saying for our area here in, Gwinnett County, Walton County, Bartow County, those areas here. Heavy snowfall expected, snow accumulations between 3 and 5 inches with locally higher amounts possible, winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. Again, this goes from 1 a.m. Saturday. That's when we're expecting, the snow to begin moving into the warning area through 1 a.m. Sunday. Roads, especially bridges and overpasses, will likely become slick and hazardous. Gusty winds will result in area of blowing snow and poor visibility. That's going to be the main thing too, especially when the snow's coming down. If you're not used to driving in snow when it's actually snowing, not only is it going to be snowing, but the wind's going to be blowing. So it is going to be a very low visibility, which is again going to cause issues for those inexperienced drivers. So that's why it says plan on very difficult to impossible travel conditions. And then also the wind chills are going to range from 10 to 15 above zero on Saturday, and then single digits below zero to the single digits above zero as we get into Saturday night. So again, throughout the day tomorrow, those temperatures are going to be freezing. So the warmest temperatures will start in the morning, and then as we go through the day, we will drop from the 30s in the morning down into around probably at or near 20 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. And then as we go from tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, we'll see those temperatures continue to drop down into the teens. And that's where we could have those near zero, or in some places even as much as 5 degrees below zero wind chills tomorrow night into Sunday morning. So, excellent questions. Silvana Islas asking, will it be melted by Monday? Yes. It won't be melted necessarily by Monday morning, but definitely by Monday afternoon, probably around noon or so, noon to 2 p.m., especially as we get into the later afternoon, it should all melt. And why is that? Because we are expecting a pretty good warm-up as we go into Monday afternoon. Let's kind of time this out here, right? Let's come here. All right, so let's come to our temperature forecasts. And we'll come forward to Monday so you can kind of see here. So there is Sunday morning. We can see we're getting down into the teens, down into the single digits up further north. And then Sunday, again, we might get above freezing in some places, so there could be a little bit of melting. I don't know if all of it will melt on Sunday. I don't think it will. Maybe if out further east it might, where you get up, like out in Augusta and some of these areas where you get up closer to 40 by Sunday afternoon, it could melt. But I think northern suburbs of Atlanta through the most of northern Georgia, that's where that melting will be pretty limited on Sunday. Anything that does melt on Sunday likely would, especially here in eastern Georgia, that's where you'd have that refreeze potential from Sunday night into Monday morning. So again, this basically takes us to, overnight and Sunday night. We can't even see it. We'll have to come. Let's come to the NAM if we want to get into Monday. That's still coming out. Let's go back to the 18Z. So there's Sunday. Absolutely brutally cold day on Sunday. So that's Sunday afternoon. Again, maybe 33. Maybe 33, 34 around Atlanta, 36 out a little bit further east. So there could be some melting, but you also have to remember further east there's going to be more snow. So it's gonna take a little bit longer to melt. And then overnight we're back into the 20s, and then this is Monday morning, and it won't be until late Monday morning where we do get above freezing. And so Monday, once we get above freezing, it should melt it all. I think it'll pretty much all be melted by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I would have those plans ready. I definitely believe Monday, at least if they don't cancel Monday, depending on how much Sunday melts. I think Monday would be at least, where a lot of places do that 2-hour delay until we get, near or above freezing. Because by the time that we get into Monday afternoon, it should all pretty much be melted by Monday afternoon. Because we're gonna get into the low, to some places even the mid 40s. And Monday morning is gonna warm up pretty fast. So this is 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. Monday morning, we're in the 20s, and then we go 3. That's 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. we're right around 32 degrees, 34, 35. Out near Athens at 11 a.m. And then by 2 p.m. you can see we're about 40 degrees by 2 o'clock, 41, 42 out further east. And then 5 p.m. about the same. So it will really just depend on how quickly we can get above freezing on Monday morning. But I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see at least those delayed starts for many area schools, especially across the Atlanta area. I think further south, like, Macon, where those snow totals aren't going to be as severe, I think those areas will probably be fine on Monday. Because again, Sunday afternoon, even these areas will be in the mid 30s, from that I-16 corridor. So anything that falls there will likely melt Sunday. It's really just mainly the northern suburbs of Atlanta into northeast Georgia, where Sunday that melting will be extremely limited. I want a work at home day on Monday. Yeah, we had indoor recess for 2 weeks. I can use an extra day off now. Yeah, I definitely can feel that for sure. Having worked in a school myself. There were also some towns just south where the whole town, for Mississippi, Belzoni, Mississippi, I know as a town that's been hit really hard. Oxford, Mississippi has been absolutely slammed with impacts there. The good news is with out there in Rolling Fork, yeah, exactly. The good news is we are still seeing power outages, but they're definitely starting to come down. But look at this. This is right now. This is live. So we're still at 70,000 power outages across Mississippi. So, Benton County, pretty much almost the entire county without power. Obviously, these are, some more rural areas. But, Lafayette County, which is kind of near where Oxford is, still 40% without power. In Panola County, still halfway without power. And then down here south of kind of Greenville area, still a lot without power here in Sharkey County. Yazoo County, mostly getting back now, just about 25%. But still, we're talking, almost 70,000 people there. Rolling Fork has definitely been through a lot these last couple of years with that big tornado. I think it was 2 years ago. They had that big tornado, and then obviously all this going on. So it's definitely been rough out there in Mississippi, and still praying for the folks out there in Mississippi and also parts of Tennessee. The good news is at least they are getting the cold, right? This cold, just to give you guys an idea of how big this cold is, take a look at some of these numbers here when you look at this map. So again, we're talking single digits already. These are real temperatures. These are not wind chills, right? So this was today. This was this afternoon. We got up to about 50 degrees here in Atlanta. But up where my brother is, he's up in Minnesota. I mean, he's been in the single digits. And again, we're seeing this really cold air spilling in here, especially across the Great Lakes, down to where we're at there on Sunday morning. And then in the mountains. So a lot of single digits here across the eastern U.S. Into the teens. And then look at some of these wind chills that we're going to see here the next couple days. So you can see here's this big lobe of cold air that just kind of is going to come down where we're going to be in, again, wind chills on Sunday morning, maybe 2-3 degrees. Up in the mountains, it could be, even colder. Look up here in Ohio. I mean, negative 11 wind chills. So it is going to be cold. But then again, once we get into Monday afternoon, we will see that warm up. But man, don't we all wish we were, out here in Phoenix, Arizona, enjoying some 75-degree weather, But we got to get through this weekend before we get into that. So let's kind of take a look back live at our live radar, see what we have going on this evening as this precipitation now starting to move into northwest Georgia already here. 9:15 here on the East Coast, 8:15 Central Time, and we can see here just around Chattanooga, yeah, we're definitely starting to see some of the snow coming into the Chattanooga area up toward, Lookout Mountain, Chickamauga, maybe even over toward Dalton, starting to see some snow flurries over in that area potentially here this evening. And then obviously through much of Sevierville And here's our low again, sitting right there just off to the southwest side of Macon. This is going to be our big snow maker. We're waiting on it to move off of the coast of Georgia here over the waters of the Atlantic tomorrow morning, and that's going to, again, bring us that wraparound moisture that we're going to be needing here for our snow. And again, here's exactly what we're talking about. Let me come back here to our high resolution model. New data coming in here. Let's come back to Southeast. I wish I were in Arizona, Vanessa says. Yeah. Me too. Okay, we not do it on moisture. Here we go. So there's that upper level low bringing all that moisture right over. So you can see these blues and greens here. That's all that moisture that's going to be dumping all this snow over North Georgia throughout the day tomorrow. And that dry slot now, tomorrow afternoon, you can see it's shifted much further west over into Alabama. And then as this storm system moves off the coast and moves east, we'll see tomorrow afternoon into the evening that dry air filter in behind it. But that's kind of why we've seen this big increase here really in the last 24 hours in some of these snowfall totals. Because this, our big upper level low that we've been keeping an eye on here, again, going to be coming right across west central Georgia and then moving out over the Atlantic, which is bringing all this moist air that we need to give us some beautiful, light, fluffy snow throughout the day tomorrow. And then behind it, you can see these, dry northerly winds that we're going to have. Speaking of winds, let's take a look at some of our surface winds that we're going to be seeing throughout the day tomorrow, because it is going to be windy. We're going to have those winds pick up probably by around 1 p.m. We'll really see the winds pretty rapidly increase, and that's why they're talking about the blowing snow tomorrow afternoon, because we are going to have pretty strong winds, which could be 25, maybe even gusts up to 30 or 35 miles per hour. So not blizzard conditions, but it may feel like a blizzard in some places with some of those wind gusts that we could see. And then those winds will kind of stick with us through the early overnight hours, and then they'll kind of taper off once we get into Sunday. So Sunday will be pretty calm. Sunday, I think, is going to be, especially Sunday morning, waking up and seeing all that snow still on the ground on Sunday morning. That is just going to be a beautiful scene. So make sure that you take those photos and share them with us. And we can definitely post those on our Facebook page. You can tag us, Extreme Weather Videos. And we would definitely be glad to see those. Also, if you're not on my Facebook page, this one right here that I'm showing you right now, this is where I do all of my Georgia weather posting. The Extreme Weather Videos page, which I'm broadcasting here on YouTube, is not just Georgia. We also do talk about other states as well. It's more the national. But if you're wanting more of my local forecast, make sure you're following me on this Facebook page. Facebook.com/Joe Pisani, EWV is the URL, where you can just search meteorologist Joseph Pisani and it should pop up. So you can definitely make sure to give me a follow over there. I had posted, let me see if I can find, this here is that graphic that I had posted earlier today talking about the potential for, and again, even since then, these totals have kind of come up, But this is kind of where I was talking about where Lake Lanier is seeing maybe a snow band. It could be a combination a little bit of Lake Lanier impact as well as some convergence across the area. But that's definitely something that we are going to have to keep an eye on, especially as we get into tomorrow afternoon. I think that there could be an area where we see a fairly moderate to heavy snow band set up somewhere here across the eastern suburbs of Atlanta in and around the Athens area. I definitely do believe that that is still a possibility. Let me come back here because we have our new run coming in. So again, we get these updates now every hour, which is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, up here in wow, yeah, they're overnight tonight. They could get some pretty serious snow up here in eastern Tennessee, in the mountains. Definitely not out of the question. Seeing around here on the Smoky Mountains, they could get a foot of snow in some places up there easily. And then by tomorrow, you know, this is 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. So yeah, by 10 a.m. we should have snow on the ground between 10 and 11 for sure. Obviously, further north is what it'll start sooner the further north you are, because it'll basically move in from the north and then move south and southeast throughout the day tomorrow. Again, that's only taking us through not even noon. That's through 11 a.m., I think. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's through about noon. So, I mean, by noon, yeah, easily an inch and a half already on the ground. And with this type of, I will say this, when I'm looking at these different models and stuff like that, one thing that is kind of tricky with this particular kind of snow is because those snow ratios can be fairly varied from one place to another, the models, you know, can't do a super great job on picking up on those details in some areas. But that's why we look at the trends, and we've just seen the trend for overall the impacts going up across our area. You know, last night we were thinking a solid 1 to 2 inches, some areas maybe up to 3. Tonight it's, you know, 3 to 5 inches. Some areas could even see, you know, more than that. But a solid 3 to 4, I think, is very reasonable for, you know, where we're at here in the eastern suburbs, and I think closer to 5 out near Athens. But we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. We'll definitely be live throughout the day tomorrow, so make sure to stick with us throughout the day as it all happens. But I do think we'll have definitely some pretty big travel impacts across the region from Atlanta up through Greenville, Charlotte, over to Raleigh, even down here into Columbia. The beaches, I think, are going to be really interesting to see those tomorrow afternoon. You know, if Myrtle Beach picks up, you know, 10 inches of snow, I'm going to really wish I had gone to Myrtle Beach. But I probably won't get that far. Savannah, though, I think will only maybe an inch or two. But, you know, Charleston up to Myrtle Beach through Wilmington, I think that part of the coast is where we could see some of those biggest snowfall totals for sure. Is at least what it's looking like right now is this area here from, you know, Charleston up through Wilmington, and then obviously the Outer Banks are going to be hit pretty hard. And this is where, again, they actually still have this shelter-in-place warning out here where you see this white highlighted area here for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, just because the conditions are going to be so dangerous out here between the surf and the snow coming in and stuff like that. So again, North Carolina already under a state of emergency. I haven't even seen as far as Georgia what areas have been put under a state of emergency here in Georgia for this. I kind of want to look that up. So yeah, we do have a state of emergency. It's probably for most of north and central Georgia, I'd imagine. But yeah, still just, I can't believe that 2 years in a row, last year and this year, we're getting back-to-back winter storms. Like, I can't think of a time since I've lived here since 2009, so now almost 20 years. I really can't think of a time where we've had 2 years in a row where we've gotten these back-to-back winter storms. So this is definitely memorable. 2025, 2026, both in January, getting these back-to-back winter storms. Pretty memorable for sure. So I'm really excited to see what tomorrow's going to be looking like. And, again, I'll definitely be bringing it to you here as we go through throughout the day tomorrow. So again, if you're available, you're around, you're up, you're awake at 9 a.m., definitely be keeping an eye out for our live stream. We'll be posting it out on our social medias with a direct link so you guys can watch it. We'll try. My plan is to go live here on YouTube as well as in Weatherwise. But if it's one or the other, it'll probably be in Weatherwise because it can reach a lot of people, and also we get it out to the news networks that way and stuff like that. But definitely we'll keep you guys posted throughout the day. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's live stream. And again, we'll definitely be out there tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me again. Stay warm. The cold weather Saturday night and Sunday morning. Don't forget that extreme cold warning goes into effect 7 p.m. tomorrow evening to 1 p.m. on Sunday. 7 p.m. tomorrow through 1 p.m. Sunday. Brutally cold. Still going to be brutally cold even during the day tomorrow, but that extreme cold warning starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. So stay safe out there, and we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow live across Georgia and South Carolina. And thanks again for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and stay safe out there, everyone. Thanks for watching. Silvana, Vanessa, Judy, Candace, everyone else that's watching, thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting what we're doing here. So have a good night, y'all.